Okay, setting up video. Countdown 3, 2, 1. Okay, everybody, welcome back. This is a continuation of the hard surface project for Zbrush. Just a little recap. We've done this piece right here, as we can see, and we're going to go ahead and do this piece today. And as long as this doesn't go too long, I'm going to go ahead and do this coil wire as well as this bottom like lug nut thing, if we have time. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is duplicate the one, this gauge that we did last time, because I can reuse this. So what I'm going to do is just hit duplicate, and then I'm going to move this all the way down, just because I'm going to add this other stuff to a folder here. So we just click new folder, and we're just going to call this gauge 1. And I'm going to move all of this stuff down into this folder. Besides this guy, which we're going to rename as gauge 02. All right, let's hide this. So we're just getting our gauge 02. So this inside area I don't need, because we see this cutout here is definitely different than this one. So we're going to get rid of that. I'm trying to figure out the best way. The best way is probably just going to isolate the stuff we do need. So we'll grab this, not that, this. Then we'll just reverse this to see what we got. I think that should work for us. So I'm just going to go ahead and just delete hidden, and just subdivide this real quick just to make sure. I think we're going to have to do a little bit of work on the inside of this, which is totally fine. So this edge right here is going to have to come down. So the best way to do this, let's go ahead and just head to ZModeler, bring our draw signs down to 0, roll over an edge, and let's go ahead and extrude move, and we'll do edge loop, and see if this works for us. I'm not totally familiar with this tool yet, and that's not giving us what we want. Or selected poly loop. Alright, let's try this again. This may not work. We might just use the old method. Let's try edge poly loop, see if, nope. Now let's try mesh border. There we go, that works. The only thing I'm not sure of how to do yet with this tool is to get this to be isometric down the middle. Like it's not doing that. So let's try this. Control, nope. Oh, and it's grabbing this bottom group too. So, all right, so we have to fix that first. So let's go here, and I'm just going to isolate this, and then hit Control W, so it's got a new poly group. Now we should be able to. Oh, it's still extruding that bottom edge. Interesting. Oh, must be the loop. All right, let's see. Oh, it's because it's doing both mass borders or mesh borders. Interesting. All right, so enough screwing around with that. I'm just going to move this traditionally, not try to use the extrude. I'm not sure what's up with that tool, but that's not a big deal. So let's go to mask and edge loop complete, and that's mask. Invert our mask, go to our move tool, reset this to mask center, clock it, move it. So if I hold down shift, it looks like it's moving correctly. So that's all we needed, was just that. I'm not sure why that other tool doesn't work, and it's not really that big of a deal. I'm just going to move this all the way down just to make sure we're covered. All right, that's good. Clear our mask. So this dial, this gauge is definitely much smaller in diameter. So we're going to make it smaller and then we're going to make it taller. So let's go ahead and scale it in. And I'm just guessing again. So we'll scale to like, here, let's look at our other gauge just to see. Transparent. I'm just going to judge between the two just to make sure I'm not making this one too small. We'll just say right around there. And as far as its height, it looks like it's about 4 times as high. So I'm just going to grab this top edge and move that up. So let's say 1, okay, maybe twice as high. So 1, go about there. And that should work for us. Turn off our ghost stuff here, turn this back off, and we've got this. Okay, this is exactly what we need. I'm not sure, I think we'll need much smaller bolts. This will look kind of weird, so again, just make sure these have the same poly group, invert, delete hidden. Hopefully you guys are seeing like the trend here of the tools that just get used over and over and over again. So we're going to need an inside cylinder here for our glass. So let's just go ahead and append a cylinder in. And we'll append in a cylinder 3D. I wonder if initialize actually works for this. Let's just try this. Let's not do that. Let's see. Solo. Okay, we don't want to do that. I'm going to append this. It's a tricky thing. Every time when I append in, I always think it's selected, and it's not selected. So that's why that happens. So let's just rotate this around. Scale it down. Grab our other subtool and just subdivide it just to make sure we're getting the right size here. So we'll just move it to it's a little bit bigger. Bring it down. We'll say to about here. And I'm just going to delete everything below that. And this one doesn't have a defined kind of edge around here. It's just one solid piece. So I'm just going to split this just to make it easily smoothable. Let's see here. Brush CM, and I'm still not sure why we're not getting the right. I should get a split point right there. I'm not sure if I'm just not zoomed in enough or what. It's giving me edges. All right, so we will figure this out a different way. We'll QMesh island. Nope. We are going to try this then. Let's polygroup the rest of these. So polygroup, and we'll just do loops for our target poly loop. Great. All right. That should work for us. Now we should be able to QMesh polygroup island. There we go. So let's turn this to inset and inset. Ooh. Polygroup island and inset. There we go. And we'll just do this twice just to keep things clean. And that should work just fine. So let's subdivide that just to make sure it's okay, and it is. because we're going to need some geometry because we're going to boolean this. So let's go to our dynamic subdivision, turn it on, and just turn this up to 3, just so we get a nice smooth cylinder. Actually, why not 4? That works. We'll probably have to crease this top edge because I don't know if you can see it, it's smoothing, which doesn't actually bother me. Glass does that. You know, which is cool, just keep it in there. All right, so we need a cutting element right here that was going to cut this out. So to make that object, let's go ahead and start with a cylinder. I'm just going to duplicate the cylinder we've got. Go back up to our subtools here. Duplicate, move, and let's just move it up and out of the way. Solo that. Now we are going to need this face here, so let's see if we can just fill holes. So we'll go modify topology, close holes, and that works. It's totally fine. We don't really care about this geometry because we are going to dynamesh this up. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what to do here. Okay. All right, let's just try. We'll try something first. See if it works. Scale it to about there. Then we're going to duplicate this and scale it in, scale it up, say to about there. Okay, so now it's going to get a little bit tricky because we got a bunch of these cylinders. So this is my cutting object for this one. Turn on live boolean. All right, that works. And then for this one, I have to cut it again, and this is probably going to be a trim. So let's go to boolean and boolean mesh. And we should get a mesh up here. Maybe not. Where did it go? All right, I'm going to have to start naming some of these. All right, so this one we're going to call glass. This one we're going to call cutter 1, maybe? And this one, we'll call this glass rim. What exactly is this thing here? Oh, okay, this is our other cutter. And we'll call this cutter 2. All right, I'm going to hide everything else just so things don't get any more confusing than they are. Okay. This is what we want. We want this piece cut by this piece. All right, so dynamic subdivision, make boolean mesh. There we go. And there's our glass rim. So let's go back here and delete these temp objects that we do not need. Let's delete that. And then append in our glass rim. Everything else. All right, we're looking good. Okay, let's hide our other gauges so that doesn't get confusing. And here's our glass rim. Let's go ahead and move that down and in. This is our cutter. Okay. So let's invert this 180 degrees. Make this object visible. Have this be our cutter. And move it down. That's basically what we need right there. But then you can tell there's an angle here. It doesn't go all the way around, so we need to trim our cutter real quick. So let's do that, which is this piece here. And let's just do this with a slice, maybe. Not totally sure but let's try clip curve first. We'll just try clipping it. Just eyeballing this based off of that image. We'll just say here. Alright, and turn that off. Turn that, there we go. Perfect. Okay, let's grab this piece here. Hide everything else. And dynamic subdivision, which let's go ahead and turn on for this. And on for this. Both of these, just so we get a smooth cut. And then make Boolean mesh. We'll hide these. Append back in our glass. Make sure everything is lined up. Nice. So we're going to need another cylinder, which we've got this glass we'll just use, and we'll just move it down and move to about there. And that can hold a texture map for our piece. This got a little bit wonky from the smooth. I'm not really worried about that. Actually, it kind of looks cool, so we're just going to keep it there. All right, so next up, let's hit this hood lip thingy here. Trying to think of how we're going to approach this. We're definitely going to use this cylinder. So I think how we'll do this is we'll cut a piece out from the main cylinder. So we'll cut like this width out of the main cylinder. And then we'll offset it, and then we'll use some sculpting tools to pull these back out. It should be easy enough. Alright, so I'm going to start just looking at this from a different angle. Okay. Do we still have our trim and our glass? I may read this is bugging me. Let's see here. Just seeing if there's anything I can do about this real quick. I don't think there's going to be really much to do. Okay, this is something I would probably go back and redo, but for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna let it go, Steve. Let's turn our solo back off, turn this back on. Okay, and turn our glass just here. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this trim object. Glass. Call this glass holder. Okay. Alright, let's grab this bad boy again, and we're going to insert an edge loop. So enter ZModeler brush, insert single edge loop, and I'm just going to do it to about the size, the thickness of that hood. So we'll go there. I'm only going to need about half of these. So I'm just going to make a poly group real quick. Um, just holding down Alt and dragging. Ugh. Okay. How many do we have here? I'm going to turn my camera view on because this is getting confusing for me. I'm sure it is for you. Okay, we're looking down. This is the top. Alright, so I just did that as one poly loop. Then I'm just going to delete the ones that I don't need because it was getting confusing. So let's face this straight on. And now I'm going to Q mesh, poly loop, which this should work. Okay, and then I'm going to hold down Alt, or wait, Control, and that'll actually duplicate those faces off for me. So now I'm just going to push them off to about like the thickness of our hood. Now I'm going to grab this poly group, try to grab this poly group, and we're going to split hidden and solo, and let's move this down just to the bottom. So now if I'm looking at this from the side, I'm just going to go ahead and delete. So grab our rectangle, and I'm just going to delete everything below there. Delete hidden. Now we've got this. Now I'm just gonna do some sculpting here with the move tool. So I know this is the top. So with a very large brush, I'm gonna pull this forward. Let's try it again. Now I'm just gonna eyeball this. Bring it out. Bring this out to about there. Bring this back in. Again, I'm just eyeballing this. All of these back here, I'm going to want to move and straighten. To straighten those, all I did was just scale them and move them up a little bit just to get that top to be the right size. Alright, that looks good. I'm thinking these probably need to go forward a little bit, so I'm just going to mask those points. With symmetry on, but not radial. And X not Z. What do I want here? X like Z, is that? Nope, don't want Z. I'm not sure what's going on here with my symmetry tool. There we go. So let's grab these points. And my symmetry is not correct here, so let's see. This is on the Y, So let's go to Y, oops, Y mirror and weld. Now they should be symmetrical. Great. I'm just looking at the top of this hood thing, and I know it comes out further here. And it pretty much curves all the way to the back. Again, smaller. Just straighten these back out. And subdivide. That's going to work for us. We need some more edge loops in here. So let's go to ZModeler brush. Insert edge loop here, here, and there. Now we've got our shape. We have some edges that kind of go off the back that contain a screw, this piece right here. So let's go ahead and handle that. I'm going to mask these points, invert, scale, straighten them out. And then let's try this extrude edge move thing again. Let's see if we can get this to work. Which is to edge, edge loop. And pull it out. Oop. That works. Now we're going to need an edge loop here. Just making sure I didn't do two things at once there. Alright, insert, edge loop. We'll just say one at the center. Check that. Then we're going to need one here. Check that. And then we need to move this point out. Like so. And that's sticking out a little bit too far, so let's just move these back in and scale them a bit. And that works great. Alright, last step for the hood. We're just going to Q-mesh it out. All polygons, and boink. And this thing's pretty thin, so we'll just go to about there. Perfect. So last thing to do with this is just scale it back in a bit. Let's go ahead and subdivide our main cylinder. Scale this in. Maybe even scale it that way, just a little bit. Push it out. Kind of hooks like right here. This is just tweaking. And then we'll take its subdivision level up to 4. And that turned out good. So last thing to do with this is to add those the screws. And it looks like it's this point right here that would contain the screw. So let's try to put it in on that edge. So insert mesh brush, parts. We'll grab one of these screws. And there we go. And I'm just holding down the space bar to move it around a little bit. And that should work. Yep, it's on both sides. And it might need to be a little bit bigger. So let's just go to, oops, bring our draw size down. Hit control. That's about the right size. There we go. We've got our nice hood. It looks like it wonked out a little bit here. No biggie. We'll just grab it if I can. Grab it. And we're just going to scale it from that point just up a little bit. Bring it down. There we go. And let's crease this edge back here. Brush Z modeler. And edge actions, crease, edge loop complete. Let's turn off our symmetry. So that's creased, that's creased. That should hold that a little bit better. And looks like we probably need an edge loop here just to contain this part. So let's go ahead and insert, turn our symmetry back on, and just insert an edge loop right here. There we go. That's much better. It's actually holding that shape better too. So let's go ahead and edge loop down this way as well. And let's try, let's see. Again, this is just tweaking. I'm going to try to get rid of this edge loop. See what that does. Yeah, that works. Probably need to slide this. So I'm getting nitpicky here, so I won't do this much longer, but I kind of want to slide this up just to soften that edge. There we go. That's looking better. Much more mechanical. Great. Sweet. So last thing we have to do on this is just this needle. And I'm going to use the same method I did last time for that. So let's just go ahead and append in a plane 3D. Let's solo that plane 3D with polyframes on. And let's go ahead and subdivide this plane up. Delete lower. Test our mask working. We'll hit X. And you know what? I'm going to orient this correctly. Let's go ahead. Just looking at our, there we go. All right. I'm just going to switch to a standard brush. And let's see what we can do here. This is a really straight edge, so we may want to use curves. That should work. All right, and then there's a circle right around here, so we'll use our perfect circle. We'll just say like right around there. And it has that little interior part that comes out. And then we have a part that's sort of like a circle. This one I might have to just draw with a curve again. So go here, 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 here. just go here. And that didn't work. Alright, so I think we're going to have to try to do this in a few pieces here. You could also do this in a drawing program, which is probably a much better idea than what I'm doing here. Oops. I think we're just going to use this needle and not worry about the crazy design, just for the sake of time. You can try it with the brush, but I'm using a mouse. It's probably not going to be the best. Let's just try it real quick. Might be able to pull it off with the with remeshing. Alright, so it's going to kind of go like this. Goes up into a point. That kind of comes down. It comes into a circle here. We'll see how rough of a mask we can actually get away with. Alright, and we're going to go and use edge loop mask border. And let's try remeshing this bad boy. That's actually not bad. Let's try it again. And let's go ahead and half it. It's actually going to work pretty well for us. So now we're just going to kind of refine this shape. I know I just said a minute ago, just going to leave it alone. It's just driving me crazy. And let's go ahead and polish this. It's pretty amazing. We pretty much got the shape. This Z remeshing method really is very fun and helpful. All right, good enough. Let's see. Let's go ahead and Q mesh this. And let's go ahead and do our crease. That should get the edges. And we're subdividing smoothly. Wonderful. Gonna need be a bit smaller. All right, we're gonna call that one done. Gauge 2 finished. So let's go ahead and just clean this up. There's our glass holder. So let's make a new folder. Call this Gauge 02. I'm going to go ahead and offset these. Hello. Why am I want to offset the whole thing? I'm going to go ahead and just merge these down. They've got their own polygroups. Merged. Merge, merge. So they should be all one thing. Nope. Where's the glass? Ah, glass. The glass holder got into the wrong folder. There we go. Go ahead and just merge that down. The reason why I'm doing this is I want to make sure these are all rotated correctly. So let's go ahead, merge down, merge down, merge down. And I also want them all to be kind of aligned in the x-axis, which they're not right now. So let's go ahead and do that too. So rotate, grab this one, move it over. Just looking at the hood, so it's next to each other. We'll say it's here. Okay, so let's go ahead and save. I'm going to save this as gauge02, this tool. And I'm going to save my project as well. Saving, saving, saving. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up with this one. So in the next video, we're going to tackle this little generator thing down here. That's going to take a while. And then the next chapter after that will handle all these tubes and wires, which I'll show some kind of interesting techniques for that. All right, that's it for this one. Thanks, everyone.